Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Sports Wrap. And Cody Spink will join us in about a few minutes out from the West Coast. Glad to have Mike Santos, the big man here in the house, my primary co-host on the show. And Mike, welcome back. We missed you.
It's great to be back. Now that hockey's 20 games into the season, that's about when I like to come in.
That's okay. We were holding down the fort. I knew when you were going to come in. Listen, Mike. No kidding. If you look at my football shows, when it comes to Inside the Pigskin and the Sports Exchange on Wednesday night, we've been talking a lot of football and sprinkling in hockey stuff where we can. But we know that it all gets interesting when you hit that first week of December. Hey, I also want to have a couple shout outs early or late. I want to wish my wife Candy. She had her birthday yesterday, so I made it a decision to mention that all week because it is a celebration of the mastermind behind it all. Candy Emily had a birthday, and also I want to have a shout out to my dad, whose birthday is going to be on December the 5th on a Friday, and yeah, he's going to be turning 85 years of age.
Wow.
And late mother Shyla, who will actually go ahead and have a birthday on December the 7th, and I'm later in the month. And Katie, why don't you mention one or two birthdays in your family? Come on for real quick, and we'll put those acknowledgments out there, and then we'll get to some of the stuff on there. A couple of other December birthdays. My late Aunt Tina was on. We ended up she was on December 20th. Yeah, I can. Yeah,
shared with me yesterday was her birthday. Your mom and your dad, and then my sister-in-law is December 16th too. So we have a lot of birthdays, a lot of fun in December.
Yeah, mine's December 29th. For those of you out on YouTube, do you get chipped with the presidents all at one time? I never really cared. I really didn't. All I can tell everybody is I never had to go to school on my birthday, and I never failed a test, and I had to take my driver's test in the middle of the winter. So with all due respect, let's get down to business. Have a lot to cover today.
Just to say real fast, Mike, I love being on a show with the Santos that doesn't have to be pardoned by a president.
There you go. Your phantom presence. Am I going to end up needing new eyewear with the black, or are you going to be back on so I can look you right in the face and hit you with your pundit?
Yeah, we're good.
Are we? Let me see you.
I'm on.
Yeah, but I see a black screen, Jacob.
That's you. That's your side because I see you.
Well, that's good. Okay.
Hold on. Did they want me? Let's start over. Want me to start over? We'll see.
Yeah, we're on live, Jacob. Just
we're
hit
on
the
live,
screen.
but that's okay. That's all right. Well, Jacob Christner obviously is a new member of this show, and I'll be bringing some more people on as we go along as well. So, anyways, before he gets back, Mike, why don't you let everybody know what you have been doing, obviously, the last several months, and promote. In fact, you can also promote hockey operations until Jacob gets back on. How's that? We'll do that early in the show.
All right. I've been busy with a lot of things. First and foremost, I decided to become a marathoner last year, so that's been keeping me busy. I'm having fun with that. But as far as business-wise, hockey operations is moving full speed ahead. Under that umbrella, we've got several businesses. One is called Sports Business Advisors with two former colleagues of mine from the NHL, Steve Violetta, worked for a number of NHL teams on the business side, including the Detroit Red Wings, some of your favorites. And we are currently working with the ECHL, doing a number of different things for them on a consulting basis. And we're working with the Allen Americans from the ECHL. So that's keeping us busy on that side of things. As far as Team 33, we have refined our product, and we have made a little bit of a directional change. So the product is now something that we're building for consumers as opposed to something that we had built originally just for NHL teams. And the new branding, the new name is called the Hockey Intelligence Agency, still produced by Team 33. And that will be coming to you next summer as in the form of an app that you'll be able to use on your phone. It'll be infused with AI, so everything will be voice automated. It's essentially gives you the chance to be an NHL general manager right there on your phone. So that's a really cool product. I'm excited. I'm excited with the new things we've done with that, and the fact that the public will be able to use it. And then, of course, the Boston Tea Company, Candy's favorite. That's still up there, running wild, and we're looking for new markets. So anybody in Detroit, Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, anybody that wants to get involved with the Boston Tea Company, we're looking to expand into other markets. Just for those who don't know, we sell T-shirts. That's all we sell. We don't sell other clothing items or trinkets or shot glasses or any of this stuff. But we sell T-shirts of nostalgic places from cities around North America. So
everybody knows that Sports Wrap is presented by Hockey Operations LLC. Mike Santos is the main man. So if you ever want to reach out to him, you can either reach out to him through Mike. He'll give you his. And why don't you give your information right off the bat, Mike, and then we'll repeat a little bit later.
The best way to contact me, it's pretty simple, is msantos@hockeyoperations.org.
Very good. So tell me a little about your marathon running. I want to hear more about that. I know you've been out there.
Yeah, so I decided about this time last year that I wanted to try something different, get a little excitement in my life. I'd always wanted to run marathons. I had never done it. And so I decided that I was going to start last February with the Fort Lauderdale Marathon. So I trained and ran that. I also ran the Flying Pig, which is in Cincinnati, which was a tremendous race, by the way, very well supported and a lot of fun. Although if you're not from Cincinnati and you do want to run that race, I will warn you that there are a lot of hills in Cincinnati that I was not aware of till I ran the race. But that race is a lot of fun. 2 weeks ago, I ran the Philadelphia Marathon, which was a goal of mine. And on February 15th, I'll complete my first year with my fourth race in Austin, Texas. So also, if anybody's listening or tuning in from Chicago, I have applied for the Chicago Marathon, and I am to find out next week, actually a week from today, whether I am accepted into the Chicago Marathon next October. If anybody in Chicago's got any way to pull a string for me, I'd really like to get into that. That would be my first major on my way to Boston in 2027. So
great stuff. Now, I gotta ask you, the Flying Pig?
Yeah, it's believe it or not, 2 years ago it was rated the #1 marathon in the United States.
Wait a minute, I'm trying to digest this, though, Mike. And listen, Flying Pig. Yeah. Okay, I understand the Lakeland Flying Tigers in Detroit. The Tigers are one thing, and but I've never heard of a Flying Pig. But I need some more information on that.
I didn't either, but I'll tell you what a great event that they put on there. Even though the weather was a little tough, it's in the first weekend in May. But the turnout of the folks in Cincinnati along the course was fantastic. A lot of fun. Great course. It actually starts. It starts down. If you know anything about the Cincinnati stadiums, they're right there on the river.
Okay.
Along the river, the Ohio River, and so you actually you start where the Bengals play, and you run over the bridge into Kentucky. You run more than a few miles in Kentucky, and then you cross back over into Cincinnati. You go through the downtown area of Cincinnati, up into the hills by Xavier University and the University of Cincinnati, and then you finish right there where I think it's still called the Great American Ballpark where the Reds play. So it's a great little course, and it starts and finishes right down on the river where all the stadiums are.
Yeah, my deal is with Cincinnati. I went to the old riverfront. I would love to get to the Great American Ballpark one point, as well as where the Bengals definitely. But I don't know. I just give me a break. Flying Pig is something I'm really trying to originate with here as we get going. Cody's sprinkling in shortly. So let's get on to business. We have a lot of hockey to come on. So for all those individuals that want to know the origination of television and hockey, let's look no further than the Montreal Canadiens versus Detroit Red Wings, because on December 11th, 1952, that was the first game on TV, Mike. You believe that? The Detroit Red Wings and the Montreal Canadiens on December 11th, 1952. You think about it, 7 days from now, and we will be looking at that. December 11th, 1952. First
Yeah,
game on TV. What are your thoughts about that?
it's pretty interesting when you think of how far hockey broadcasting has come. Obviously, in those days, we had 6 NHL teams.
Right.
So, of the 6, they picked the Red Wings and the Canadiens. Probably pretty good choice, especially because that was the heyday for the Montreal Canadiens.
Yeah.
People point to their teams in the 70s, but their teams in the 50s were probably the best decade of teams that the Canadiens ever had.
Right.
Winning, I believe, 9 of 10 Stanley Cups in the 50s. I'd have to double check that, but I believe it was 9 out of 10 they won. But I think what's really interesting is that as the league expanded, particularly at the turn of this century, there was a lot of work that needed to be done with the way they broadcasted games. Of course,
Right.
the games become a lot faster. The players are, they shoot the puck a lot faster. They pass the puck a lot faster. They skate a lot faster. It's become, I would say, a more physical game, maybe in a different way. But the interesting thing was at the turn of the century, television contracts for the NHL started to catch up a little bit with what they were doing in other sports. The problem was the broadcasting companies didn't know how to broadcast the sport. And so if those of you remember in the 90s when the NHL signed this contract in the mid-90s with Fox TV, and they came out with these innovations like the Fox track where they used to trail the puck and do all those types of things and tell you what the speed of the puck was and all those types of things. They really didn't understand what they were doing. And I believe it's because the broadcasting companies in the United States, the directors, the producers, the camera people, didn't understand the game like they did, for instance, baseball. So when you watched a baseball game on TV, the fan was taught the game because the cameraman knew when the ball was in the hands of the pitcher, he was going to throw to the catcher, and he put the camera on the catcher's mitt or on the catcher that was going to receive the ball, not on the ball flying through the air. It took years and years for hockey broadcasting to understand that they can't follow a puck going place to place on the ice, and that they actually had to educate the broadcasters, the producers, the camera people, the directors as to, the nuances of the game so that they could actually broadcast a game knowing that when the puck's in a certain area of the ice or when a certain player has the ice, that the options were the puck could go here or it could be there, and they could be ready with cameras on those players or in those areas of the ice where the puck was going instead of trying to follow the puck. Again, I think that's one of the biggest things that they've done in the last 20 years with broadcasting is if you watch a game now, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that the game now in the U.S. has evolved in areas where traditionally it wasn't played, in the Southwest, on the West Coast, particularly in the Southeast. And so now, it's been 25 years since we've had teams in those areas, and broadcasting, I think, has caught up with how to broadcast the game properly. I mean, we never watched a 100-mile fastball travel in the air. We actually saw the catcher receiving it. We never watched a baseball game where the camera was on a fly ball in the middle of the sky. We watched the center fielder who was pounding his mitt, getting ready to catch it, and subconsciously, as a fan, you knew that's where the ball was going. So I think that as we look at when the first game was in 1952 to where we are now, it's really been, at least in the United States, the last 20 years, where broadcasting really has figured it out, and they do a fine job now of presenting the game to the fans, especially the new fans that want to learn the game.
Yeah, no question about it. Thanks for giving me your overall synopsis on that. It really is amazing. Believe it or not, NBC tried that experiment with Peter Puck and a lot of different things, the way they broadcast it. But now, because of the advanced technology, it definitely has come a long way. Cody Spink joins the show just in time. All we did, Cody, before you came on, is everybody got to realize that Mike Santos is a top-notch marathon runner. So you haven't missed out on anything.
Well, I'm pretty sure he can easily outrun me. I can tell you that.
I just finished. I don't win any trophies, Scott.
It doesn't matter. In my opinion, you're top notch. That's good enough. Okay. Hey, listen.
If I might though, one other note on the broadcasting, because I believe it's a really interesting subject when it comes to broadcasting hockey.
Okay.
For those of us that do remember the Fox TV contract when they had the glowing puck,
God.
and all those types of things on the screen. In addition to being a distraction, the biggest problem they had was when you watched the game and you saw a trail behind the puck, it didn't tell you where the puck was going. It told you where the puck was, right? The old Wayne Gretzky, saying where, go where the puck is going to be, not where it was or where it is. I mean, it's the same thing for trying to teach people the game and to watch a game. You want to be where the puck is going. You want to be seeing where the puck is going. And so that trail that they used to put behind the puck on the TV screen didn't really help anybody learn the game or watch the game, because it wasn't where the puck was at the time. It was where it was, where it is. I mean, it's where it was. The same thing when they would put the speed of how fast the puck went. It wasn't how fast the puck was going. It was how fast the puck went. So the information they were giving you was behind the play all the time.
Great stuff. Thanks for adding that. Appreciate it, Mike. All right, Cody. I know this is way before many of us were born, but just so you know, obviously the first game ever broadcast on TV is original six matchup between the Red Wings and the Canadiens in 1952. What are your thoughts about where hockey broadcasting is now? Because you weren't old enough, or even who knows if your parents were old enough back then to even realize when it first started.
My parents were not old enough. I can tell you that for sure.
All right, well there you go.
Yeah, I know my dad's as old as a dinosaur, but still. But no, it's just crazy how different broadcasting is from even back then. Like I remember watching, even when I was younger, just seeing it from where it was then till now. It's like almost like day and night. The quality's better. You can actually see whose number is on the ice. Before it's like, is that who I think it is? Like, who scored that? Now it's like, oh, yeah, he scored. Yep. And you already know who has it. And the technology with the replays and everything, it has really helped with that too.
Yeah, good point.
Jacob?
One thing, 1952, so I'm guessing Gordie Howe was about 45 then.
Nice try.
But
no, that was funny.
But Cody, you're distracting me. You look like my nephew. You look like my nephew a little bit. It's kind of distracting.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. I don't get that a lot, but
everything.
Oh, I ain't shaving this off. I can tell you that.
Yeah, you don't have to now. But no. Here's the thing. Watching a game, and I saw a game on YouTube once. I was from like 1967, and they were just starting to like follow the move around, follow the camera moving and following everything, both sides of the ice. I can't imagine what that would be in 1952. It'd be one static shot out this way. Just go wider. You can't see my hands, but it'd be a static shot. So it'd be like ants skating. It'd be like ants skating because no one was going to – I know this from all kinds of TV shows. I mean, pro wrestling that was during the time, any of those type of things. Everything was one static shot, one camera. It's like you didn't even do any two camera shots of any type of TV show until I Love Lucy. I mean, there wasn't even any of that. Everybody else was one camera, everything. And it's like sports were one camera. Baseball was one camera. Everything was one camera. And so hockey would have been horrible in the 50s because they wouldn't be following the same. You know what I mean? So really by itself, good for it. and all that kind of thing. But that would have been rough there because you'd have to follow the announcer going, "How scores?" Whatever scores, you'd have to be able to do that and then take their word for it. It could easily be the goalie for all you know. So it's one of those. It's one of those deals. But 1952 would have been tough, but it was just experimental at that point.
I'll say one thing. Candy went ahead and took one of the most unbelievable pictures that I've ever seen when we were covering a Panthers and a Red Wing game where she had Pavel Datsyuk in midair. And the way he shoots, that was unbelievable. It really is. One of these days we'll put it up at a later date. We don't do a lot of hockey these days. We just
second best in midair thing to Bobby Orr.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, this girl shot the picture on her own, so I'm going to be a little partial towards her. But it was almost unbelievable shots, and she was relatively new as a photographer. First time she ever shot hockey, what she did unbelievable. Candy will take it up eventually on a future show when she had more notice to do it and put it up there. It was just unbelievable. Yeah, hockey's come a long way. We'll talk about future hockey announcers, but hey, listen, 1952, 2025. I'd like to think it's made a little bit of progress, right, George Eichhorn?
Oh, yeah, lots of progress. Ironically, the Montreal coach that night was Dick Irvin. Dick Irvin went to become one of the top analysts on Hockey Night in Canada, working next to Danny Gallivan for a long time. Detroit's coach was Tommy Ivan. And, those are some great players back in the day, 1952. But yeah, just my 2 cents is just pretty much the same. I mean, that was infancy of television covering hockey. So there were going to be a lot of bad shots, camera shots, missed things that didn't pan out. And, it was back in the day when, the teams were the stars of the show. But as far as catching up to broadcast, it took a number of years. I agree with you guys, what you said about that.
Okay, well, let's move on. We can talk about this all day long, but this is one topic I think that, Mike, with you having been a commissioner and involved in a lot of things, this is something that obviously has to be talked about, and that's this. The NHL mandates neck guards for all new players in 2026. Anyone who has played at least one NHL game before then will have the choice to opt out. All right, Mike, I've held on to this topic for a while. Wanted you to voice your 2 cents on it. So what are your thoughts about mandating NHL neck guards?
I think it's terrific. One injury that, in the case of a neck injury, when it comes to a skate or a stick, that could end a life of a person is too many.
Right.
And, young players are growing up wearing neck guards now anyway. I don't see why it would be any different, especially with the players coming up today, for them to just continue wearing them. They're sort of going through the same thing they did when they initiated helmet rule in the NHL back, in the end of the 80s and the early 90s. And then similarly, they did the same thing with face shields to protect players' eyes. I had 2 players that played for me that lost their eyesight. One lost his actual eye. The other, I believe, eventually lost his eye. And that was Jeff Libby, who played for me. He was playing in the American Hockey League and lost his eye when a skate came up and player tipped over and the skate just came up and hit him right in the eye and lost his eye. And the other was Brian Berard, who lost his eye playing in the NHL.
Yeah.
So, we've seen some tragic neck injuries, especially the one that happened a year ago. Was a year? It's 2 years ago now, I guess, over in Europe. There's no reason when you've got protective equipment that can protect players, but even save lives. There's no reason not to use it. I don't think it should affect anybody's style or
right.
helmets came out, players with the long locks didn't like the idea that they couldn't let their hair flow in the wind when they were skating down the ice. And for years and years, people have said that they couldn't market hockey because you didn't know who the players were with their helmets on and all these other things. I think that's just a bunch of garbage, and and it really doesn't even have a place with neck guards. But if you can protect the player's neck and especially maybe even their life, there's no reason not to do this. I'm glad they did it. I wish they had done it a few years earlier.
Great stuff. Well, we all know what happened when the Hans device got implemented when Dale Earnhardt was killed. So it's good that hockey was proactive to do this. All right, George.
Yeah, I mean, it's the thing is that the injuries are so severe. The game is faster than it's ever been, and the shots are blasted from all over. They're more. They're faster, the shots, I think. And then you got guys that are, you're still prone to injury. Hockey at times it can be a brutal sport, as we know, and it's tough to play. You got to really have an experience level. And, the fact is that there's still some guys out there that want to cause trouble or cause mischief, or I don't want to say they want to cause an injury like that, but you got to protect the players. I agree with you, Mike. You got to. These guys are valuable for their team and valuable for their cities as fans love them, and you got to have ways to protect them. So, I mean, things happen, okay? Any sport, but especially hockey, you need that protection, that added, especially around your neck and the neck guards. I'm all for it, man.
Yeah, I think you're right, George. We're not protecting them from injury. We're protecting them from fatality.
Right. Yeah.
That's what this is all about.
Right. Yeah, no doubt about it. Cody.
No, I think it's great that they implemented this, and I agree with Mike. They should have done this years ago. I mean, like Kopitar even started wearing it before it was even mandatory because he thought his life was more important than being uncomfortable while playing. And I forgot which former NHLer. He started a company where it's pretty much just like an undergarment, like just something that they already wear under, and it's already going to protect their neck and everything. So, I mean,
it was. I'm drawing a blank, but the kid from War Road that scored all the shootout goals in the Olympics.
Oshie.
TJ Oshie.
Thank you. So you just said shootout. I knew, that's right. I remember hearing it when he was on which podcast I heard him on, and they were, like I said, they're even doing that where it's pretty much just like an undershirt, and it's supposed to protect from the skate and blade like that, like and everything. So I 100% agree that. I mean, if I was playing and I would probably be wearing it, especially after seeing that tragic video. I wish I never saw that video. I wish I never did. It was just so gut wrenching to see. So like I said, I think I'd rather be uncomfortable than be able to lose my life like that. So
yeah,
I think
a part of that, Cody, too, is I don't know if the listeners understand this too, but the socks that the players now wear, that they are actually protective as well. So that like a skate cannot cut through those. So you're not going to get a ligament in the back of your leg or something like that cut because it's the socks now.
Did this happen before the whole Gabe Landeskog thing, or was this a little after? Because that's how he got his injury.
Yeah, it's probably right after, to be honest.
Okay. No, I didn't know that, so I'm glad you brought that up. I knew they were working on that, but I bet Gabe Landeskog kind of wished that came out a little sooner. Yeah. So, but no, I think I'd rather be protected than anything. Like when I was a catcher in baseball, I always had the neck guard because you never know, that foul ball or that one ricochet can really hurt. And I'm glad it protected me. I don't know how many times. So I'm glad I always wore that thing. So I think the more protection, the better.
Jacob?
We don't need another Clint Chuck or Richard Zednick problem. Let's just be very honest on that. I'm just giving two from history. We don't need some neck slices like that. And here's the big thing. We're like when I played hockey 3 years, stuff like that, just the rec league stuff like that. I was sort of half cocked, joked around about that. You know what I mean? That's what people used to because I wore the mask. I wore full face mask when I played. Everybody else had just a helmet. And they just half joke, but no one really said anything. But here's the deal. We're 25 years past the whole thing, and that's a whole set of new adults.
Right.
How many people in that time have seen every kind of protection possible? Some people, if they've busted their nose up, they're without a shadow of a doubt wearing a regular face guard. We've seen all kinds of things. We're going to see this neck guard now. We're going to see all this. How many people are seeing this? There's nothing to make fun of anymore. Like, you see way back in the day, why are you wearing a helmet, you wimp? We'll say the very PC version. Why are you wimp? You're wearing a helmet. I mean, the last one not to, I think, is Craig McTavish. And it's like, that kind of stuff like that. You wore helmets, and then it's like, oh my God, it started with face masks with goalies. Oh, you're wearing one, you wuss. And I mean, now we're not in that level anymore. We're not there anymore. There's protection everywhere now. And it's like, if there wasn't, they would die. These players would die. And especially, here's the thing. It's like, it took Dale Earnhardt to die to get a Hans device on the neck.
Right.
Clint Mallard, I brought up Clint Malarchuk and Richard Zednick. They nearly had to, but basically, you know what I'm saying? They got their throat sliced.
Right.
It's going to take one to die. We don't need that before you get the neck protection. So it's just the world that we're in now. No one's gonna make fun of you or laugh or do anything anymore. We're a whole generation of nothing but protection.
Right. Well, keep in mind the NFL implemented guardian caps as well. We'll see how that plays out down the road. All right. Well, we have a lot to talk about. We'll continue to roll here. One real good feel-good story that I've really been looking forward to talking about is a guy by the name of Jake Wallman. Get this. This guy goes from being a cap dump to a $49 million deal in 16 months. Let's track it all. That in June of 2024, Wallman and his second were traded to the Sharks for future consideration. Steve Yzerman made that move. At 2025 at the deadline, he was traded to the Oilers for a 2026 first-round pick. My goodness. June 2025, Wallman helps the Oilers make the Stanley Cup final. Again, June of 2025. In October 2025, Wallman signs a 7-year, $7 million annual estimated value, $7 million a year for 7 years. I'll tell you one thing. This has been a real good story, Mike. It really has. What are your thoughts about Jake Wallman?
Sometimes you just need to find the right spot, right? The right place. Certainly not a superstar player, but he came out of Providence College. He was a third-round pick of St. Louis, and came out of Providence College. At Providence College, he was thought of as a guy that could put up some points from the blue line. He had a big shot. I know that. Never really played much for the Blues, a lot of minor league games, and just wallowed around. And sometimes, like for instance, if you think about those Blues teams back then, and they ended up winning the Stanley Cup, they had some pretty good defensemen and some pretty big defensemen. So it just wasn't room for him. And the same thing seemed to happen. He just bounced to the wrong places and finally found the right place. Edmonton last year, who in the last couple of years has been really looking to fortify their D. And that's usually what winning teams do down the stretch. Everybody looks for the big home run at the trade deadline, but it's usually the winning teams that go and make those type of deals, to get those additional defensemen that can really bring you some weight. I mean, he's not necessarily a big tough guy, but he's a big heavy guy. He can move people in front of the net. He can move guys, and he can still play on your second power play unit, run it from up top, and do the types of things. He's got a pretty good shot, so he's a real useful player. I mean, the $7 million a year would have shocked me a few years ago, but when you look at where the contracts are going now, and players are now signing for $13 million a year, it's probably right in the ballpark for what a guy like that can do. And he's very reliable for that Edmonton team, and he's exactly what Edmonton needed as a defenseman. And he finally landed in the right spot for him. Good for him.
Yeah, I'll say Steve Yzerman whiffed on that move. I really do. Jake Wallman was a really productive player. I'll go to George on this as well.
Yeah, you took my word, Scott. I got to stick with you on this one. Stevie Y, no, it wasn't a good move. And I mean, every general manager, especially this, Mike, every general manager wants the one that got away or the one I shouldn't have done or the move I should have not have made. Well, that's standing right in the face of Stevie and the Red Wings because we all know defense has been a problem. They got a lot of problems, and they've had since not making the playoffs. But Jake Wallman, congratulations. I mean, you went to a team that needed you, that wanted you, and look what you've done. And just like you said, Mike, I mean, the Oilers, he's fit in like a glove. He's fit in perfectly there, and he's got a lot of talent. I thought that was a long contract. I kind of caught me on guard, 7 years. But I'll tell you what, he's really proven in the last couple of years that, he belongs and will be a force to be reckoned with. Yeah, but Scott, I'm with you, Scott. I know Stevie is not going to be perfect on everything, but that's one that got away.
I'll ask Detroit guys. I mean, I believe when he was in Detroit, he played with Sider, right? And
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
That's just not the right pairing for him.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
If he's playing with a different partner, maybe they start to realize his value as opposed to being the side piece to your big guy back there.
Yeah.
Well, nevertheless, Steve Yzerman, I still think he whiffed on this one. Jacob.
Yeah. The thing about it is the fact that, remember, I'm just going to say this quick about Stevie Y. They brought him in. This from Tampa. They brought him in, and it's a hero's welcome. And
Right.
What's it been, 7 years? I'm just giving an example. What has it been, George, 7 years there now?
6 or 7 now.
Yeah, something like that. And it's like, and I'm not going to put all of it on them because they were a complete mess to begin with. So he's trying to do what he can do. But you make mistakes like this when you have this, when it's been that long, when you have expectations, mistakes get made. But here's another thing, too. We see it in baseball all the time. We see it in football all the time. We see it in everything. There's that player that's, utility to, pretty good. Then they blow up. It's always a coach. Someone flips the switch. Someone obviously flipped the switch. And on Wallman, and I'm glad he has that contract. Now, here's the thing. If you keep your coach and your coaching staff and the people there, unlike other places that think it's them too much, Sam Darnold, unlike all them other ones, stay with them. Stay with who made you. Because it's like everybody is different, and the thing that makes your switch flip, you don't want to flip it off. And he's got something there. He's got his role. He's got his role in the right defense. He's got everything. Just stay for the time, and hopefully he'll keep his coaches for the time. Just don't go anywhere else just because. That's the whole thing I have to say about it.
Cody.
No, I mean, I think Detroit definitely did not make the right move trading him away, and especially, but I think the GM from the Sharks definitely made out with that, getting a second round pick and then trading him away within 6 months later and getting a first rounder. I mean, what a great move by Greer in San Jose. But I think Jake Wallman, I think it was a good fit for him to go to Edmonton, and as long as he has the right D partner, I mean, because it's usually what helps every D man is if you get the right partner, then you're set. Because I've seen it like numerous times with the Ducks. I think that was like the thing with Cam Fowler, is we just could not find him the right D partner. Then he goes to St. Louis and gets paired up with Parayko, and it's like a happy marriage over there with them. But no, Wallman, as long as he's not injured, he's gonna put up numbers for you. I mean, 17 games played this year, 3 goals, 7 assists for 10 points. I mean, that's pretty good for a defenseman, especially how lackluster they've been over there in Edmonton. So I think all around great move, and we all know the contracts are going to be going higher and higher. So I think what we saw last year with the $7 million, like what $7 million used to be, is like back in the day was like $4.5 million, I would say. So I think with everything, it's going up and up.
All right, you know what? We don't normally talk about pickleball out of hockey, but guess what? We will now. I'll give you a good reason why. Welcome to the pickleball ranks, Mr. Alexander Barkov, because he's a pro pickleball team owner, and he is now the part owner of the Palm Beach Royals ownership group based in Palm Beach, Florida. All right, George. What about Barkov into pro pickleball?
He's not the only one. JD Martinez, the former Red Sox Tiger, he's also involved in it. I tell you what, this sport has really taken off. And,
Yeah.
the thing I like about it too is the fact that it's for all ages. I mean, you got people in there that are the youngsters, and you got guys in there that are, 20 ish, whatever. But then you also have some of the early seniors, that are playing. Pickleball has become very, very much a great sport here in America. And Barkov, I mean, that's a good move. I mean, this is something you can invest in, and you're investing in not only the person's talent, but you're investing in a sport that helps you out. Exercise, and as you know, Mike, there's so much that needs to be done for like yourself as a marathon runner, and but I mean, even to stay in shape and to have some fun, pickleball. But yeah, I think that's a good move for Barkov.
Well, think about it, George. Okay, I know once again you find a way to get your Detroit references, so I have to understand that you are not talking about overly killing the Tigers, but the man suffered a very serious injury, and I know he's lost for the year. So, in addition to his rehab, at least he can look at life after hockey, and this pro pickleball thing intrigues me. It really does. What about you, Mike?
Well, as someone who was, I'll say, part of the group that drafted Mr. Barkov,
Huh,
um, it wasn't his penchant for pickleball that made it the reason I selected him number 2 overall. But I think there's two things involved here. One, his leg injury didn't give him the ability to get away from whoever was trying to sell him this pickleball team. And two, his mom was actually a tennis player. I don't know if you knew that. Yeah, his his mom and dad. His dad was Russian, and his mom was from Finland. And his mom has a history of tennis. So I have a feeling somehow, some way, there was some kind of connection there that got him involved. And I don't know what he paid for the pickleball team, but
right.
God love him. He's got something to do at least while he's rehabbing.
No question about it. All
Watch,
right,
he can
Jacob.
watch his pickleball team.
I
Well,
will
hey,
tell you
listen,
this:
you're
back in
going
the
to
days,
rehab. You might as well at least do something that you can eventually mess around with later. I've never played pickleball. I would never play because, obviously my wife works at a place with good medical benefits, as part of the group plan, but they don't need me in the hospital for that. I got other reasons to go in the hospital. Go ahead.
well, one of the things also is I can say this is like pickleball. You're going to see a lot more athletes with this. You talked about it like Barkov's leg. Remember this part is like you talked about tennis. Tennis, you have to still go on a long court and chase, and that's a. You're going to see a lot of athletes take pickleball because you're basically standing in a. It's basically standing in one position, and it's the hand-eye coordination. You're not having
Right.
to move a whole bunch in comparison to like tennis. So there's that. And plus the fact Wayne Gretzky in those days when he was playing those celebrity sports events, like with other celebrities playing tennis and badly, he would have loved pickleball. So, so he would have loved pickleball. So it's those deals. But the big thing about it is the fact good for this guy to be able to come up with the deal because he's one of there's a few. You brought up JD Martinez, right? George?
Yeah, former Red Sox.
Yeah, there's gonna be more. There's gonna be a lot more of these, including tennis players. Remember, Andre Agassi has it. They've got pickleball now. Even the tennis players are doing it. So everybody else is going to be doing this because, like I said, it's all hand-eye coordination without a lot of movement. Which a lot of these people have bad leg injuries, as Mike brought up, bad knee injuries, bad everything. So they're going to want something that's still good exercise, hand-eye coordination in sport without killing themselves.
Right. Cody.
I've never played pickleball either. I'm pretty sure if I got a hold of a ball, I can do some pretty good damage because with my baseball background. But I would not want to play on a court with Barkov. That's for sure. I'm pretty sure he's one of those people where you just give him whatever random sport gear, and he's gonna be the best player at it within like the next hour. So I mean, I'm glad that like these athletes are putting their money into like other sports like this to kind of not just one thing or another. Just like they're building another sport, and like what I like what Mahomes is doing. I know there was somebody else that also bought a team out here in St. I want to say Landon Donovan helped with a soccer team out here too. So I like when athletes do this and help build other sports up and everything like that. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see Barkov on that court with or if the Florida Panthers somehow miss the playoffs and he's out there on the court just dominating pickleball.
Yeah,
I think it's great that, like Cody said, I think it's great that athletes put their money towards building sports like this, and especially sports that are recreational for everybody. I just don't know if there's a future for professional pickleball.
I'm not sure.
Well,
I just don't know.
I can say this, Mike, not now. I'll say this because you'll see this part. But what you're going to start seeing, and I'm a tennis player, okay? I'm a tennis player. This is what's going to be, we're going to start seeing, is it's going to get bigger. I think of it because you're going to see a lot more at the time, older athletes with the injuries that start promoting it. And then older, we'll have the younger people that are not athletes getting into it instead of chasing the ball down in tennis. Tennis is hard to get into. It's expensive. Pickleball's not. So it's as time goes on, it is going to get bigger.
Yeah, well, I'll just say this much. Barkov, at some point, will have a statue in front of where the Panthers are playing right now. I think that's a Marin Bank Arena. I'm not going to get into that. We'll talk about that in future shows, but obviously they call him Broward County, Barkov County. So he means a lot to this market and this region for sure. Two more topics I want to get to before we go to our first station break. Unfortunately, over the last several months, every year you lose big people in every single sport. But hockey lost 3 Hall of Fame goaltenders this year. I'll slowly mention them as our way of paying respects to them. Ken Dryden, Bernie Perrant, and Eddie Giacomin. Unbelievable. I mean, you lose legends, but these three were as big as you could get back in the day. We'll start off with you, George, on this one. Obviously, Giacomin played with the Red Wings, and Ken Dryden, he's the guy that got his Stanley Cups early, did great as a lawyer. And Bernie Perrant was everything about the Broad Street Bullies and the Philadelphia Flyers. Take it from there, George.
Yeah, you're not kidding, Scott. Those are three giants. Three giants in the net, no question about it. And Kenny Dryden, of course, was at the Miracle on Ice. Went a very smooth transition for a while to broadcasting with Al Michaels at Lake Placid, and then, of course, becoming an executive and coaching and executive status in the NHL. I think that Bernie Perrant was just unbelievable. I mean, the Broad Street Bullies and all the great teams the Flyers had, he was fantastic. And what can you say about Eddie Giacomin? I mean, he was Mr. New York Ranger. I mean, between the pipes, they also had Sawchuk, but the Giacomin was just outstanding, and these are legends we're losing. And unfortunately, as we all know, as we get older, us on this panel, Cody, you're way too young. But as us older people get a little older, we sense that there's going to be more of this. But I'll tell you what, you can't get much better than this. Those three guys were fantastic. All-Star games, Halls of Fame, and then everything else in between, Stanley Cups too.
Mike?
So I look at them, the three of them, all successful in different ways, though. I mean, Dryden was obviously a very highly intelligent guy, well educated, approached the game as a player, and also as president of the Maple Leafs that way, but also as an author. He authored one of the greatest hockey books of all time called The Game. If anybody hasn't read that book, I recommend you read it. It's an excellent expose of the sport, not just, and then we tie the skate laces together stories from the NHL. Bernie Perrant, known to be one of the sweetest men you'll ever meet, didn't get in the way of his competitiveness. but as a person was just a prince, a nice guy. And Eddie Jacquemin, I always thought of because of his smaller stature, playing goal in the National Hockey League, one of the most competitive guys and almost surly guys you'd ever meet. And I don't know if anybody ever saw the famous scene when he was playing for the Red Wings and he returned to New York.
I remember that. Yeah, Mike, it was unbelievable.
Gave him a standing ovation and he was in tears. A couple of interesting things. Both Ken Dryden and Bernie Parent were drafted by the Boston Bruins, and both of them beat the Boston Bruins in the Stanley Cup Finals and won the Conn Smythe Trophy.
Wow.
So that's interesting. Another really interesting point is that Ken Dryden, who came right from Cornell University, played one regular season game and then all of this Stanley Cup playoff games and leading the Montreal Canadiens to their Stanley Cup, also won the Conn Smythe. He won the Conn Smythe, and then the following year, as a rookie, won the Rookie of the Year. He's the only player to win the Conn Smythe Trophy as the most valuable player of the Stanley Cup playoffs before he was even a rookie in the league. And
Wow.
So there's a couple of interesting things on those guys.
Unbelievable. All three, rest in peace. Jacob?
Kenny Dryden's my favorite type of story because once he wins 6 to 8 cups, and then he's done. He just decides I'm done.
Yeah.
Goes to become a lawyer. That's always my favorite. But he was always so darn intelligent. Eddie Jacquemin was 86 years old. I expected. I'm not kidding you. Ken Dryden was 78, and I expected him to go to run right past Jacquemin as far as the age. You'd expect that because everything about him is just complete intelligence. It was, it just lacked it. It looks like intensity. It lacks intensity. It's like those ones that have all the intensity in the world usually wear their bodies out. I would have thought that he would have just stayed healthy his whole time and then going to sleep. Unfortunately, it was cancer, and those are the tough parts, But you brought something up that I was saying. You were saying that it's like these are our legends, and we've seen this, My legends are getting older. I'm watching. I saw a podcast the other day with Brett Hull and all the old St. Louis Blues and everything like that. Oh my God, Brett Hull's gained 75 pounds, but he's enjoying life and doing everything. But it's like these guys. It just shows that they're gray haired now, and it's everything like that. And it's like they're going to go too. They're going to go. Wayne Gretzky's over 60. He's over 60. We'll hear this one day, and it's like your guys' legends are gone. Mine are coming. So it's just, time goes fast. It's a tough part.
Well, don't lose sight of the fact that Ken Dryden was on that Canada Cup team back in 1972. That was huge, too. And that's the first time I got a taste of international hockey. And we all know what Bernie Parent did on that, where the conflict on ice. So these guys are not only great players domestically, but what they did internationally as well. So just thought I'd mention those. All right, Cody, you'll have last word on the topic. We'll go to a one non-sports topic, and then we're going to go to a station break. More to come. Glad to have Mike Santos back today. Unbelievable. I've saved all the heavy-hitting topics for Mr. Santos to get back, and we'll keep bringing him on now that he's back in the fold. Our legendary frozen ice icon, Mike Santos, the only one that doesn't have gray hair, and Cody, you're too young to have it. All right.
No, I have it.
All right, well, Mike Santos looks fantastic, man. All right, Cody, what's your thoughts about these goaltenders?
It's sad to hear that how all of them within that short of time all passed. I never, got to witness them playing or anything like that, and I wish I have because I have a feeling that, like I said, I was a goalkeeper in soccer, so I always had a love for the goalie sport in all sports and everything like that. Just because I feel like I know they're all the same, but they're all different at the same time, and I was like drawn to that. And like I said, just hearing how fantastic like Ken Dryden was, like I didn't know any of these like fantastic things, like him winning a Stanley Cup and being the Conn Smythe winner, then winning the Calder the very next year. I didn't find that out till after he passed. So that just being a huge hockey fan as I am, getting to hear these legends and learning about them. It sucks that I'm learning them as they pass, but I wish I would have known this before and I could have admired his game a little bit more. Or maybe try to find some tape online to watch him play and stuff like that. Because I just love watching hockey, and no matter who's playing. So I think it would have been so much fun watching all these type of players play back in their heyday.
Well, Cody, one thing too is I enjoy myself. I enjoy the Kenny Drive's my favorite story and stuff like that because I always think about this, his intelligence that he had, and it's like I always felt like when I heard him talk and I heard him play or saw him play, I always felt like his heart rate was about 38. you get you get my point, right, Mike?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I always felt like that. That's why I thought he'd lived the longest of times. But the biggest thing is when I see those type of guys and they dominate without, moving a muscle like that, and being all that stuff, and without having any kind of anger, rage, all that kind of thing, or at least the majority of it, at least what we've seen, you feel like that they're the most dangerous. The ones that they're more dangerous than the ones that bring it out. It's like, is he okay? We know he doesn't throw on the ice, but what could he do? He chooses not to. You get my point? So that's what those are my type of athletes now that I get older.
Well, Cody, my advice to you, go to YouTube. You'll learn pretty quick about these guys. All right. Our first non-sports topic tonight is pretty interesting one too, by the way. We talked about it last night's edition of Sports Exchange. I thought I wanted to put it in with a different set of voices. But Ken Long, a 54-year-old veteran from Eaton, has been denied a heart transplant at Christ Hospital due to his refusal to receive the COVID-19 vaccine. Mike, what are your thoughts, right or wrong?
Look, everybody has a right to choose what they want to do in this country. When the COVID vaccine was offered, I took it, but I have friends and family members that didn't. I think it's everybody's individual right to do what they want to do as long as they're not harming anybody else.
See, I lost an aunt due to COVID-19. When I lost her, and that aunt was like a sister to me. As soon as that thing became available, I took it. Aunt Judy Stroll, love you, rest in peace. You've always inspired me, and there was a no-brainer. But yeah, you're right. Ken has his choice to do it, and so be it. I understand it, but a heart transplant is what it is. So, I understand both sides, and people have to do what they have to do. George?
Yeah, I don't think we should treat people that differently in a serious situation like this, especially. If it's gentleman or lady, anybody that needs a transplant, it's a long list, it's a long wait. And by the grace of God and some other factors, you get that phone call and you're ready to go. And just to withhold that is not right. I just don't agree with that. Like you said, Mike and Scott, we both lost people we know and friends and your aunt. And, it's just not right. Everybody, there's other people I know too in my family, that didn't want it. They're healthy right now. They're living their life, but no, I don't believe in that holding this transplant up at all.
Cody?
I think it's crazy how someone that needs a transplant like this and they're refusing it just because they didn't get the COVID-19 vaccine. I got it because, one, I had to get it if I wanted to go travel to Italy for me and my wife's honeymoon. So I was like, okay, that's our dream honeymoon. Let's get it. But I know other family members that didn't get it, but I know some people are like, no, I'm getting it because it's a matter of life or death for me. Like I know with my grandparents, like my grandma was worried the whole time during COVID. So, and I agree with what Mike said. Like everyone has the right to do what they want with their body like that. If you don't want it, then don't get it. If you want it, then get it. But to refuse someone just because they didn't get a vaccine, that's just crazy to me. Like I thought the hospitals, they're there to help the patients. That's like their number one priority is to get them healthier, and they're refusing just because he didn't get the vaccine.
Okay, we'll give Jacob the last word on it. I said about my Aunt Judy, enough said there. Jacob, you have the last word on it. After we get done, we go to our first station break. And then when we come back from that station break, we'll talk about our featured topic of the night, a great one. a legendary one, a legacy of one, and there'll be a lot of other players that we're going to follow suit in the second half of this show. Go ahead, Jacob. You have the last word
Yeah,
on
but
Ken Long.
I got mine because I wanted to be in a movie, and then it didn't work out anyway. But it didn't work out anyway. But it just now becomes personal politics and ego when you do
Right.
stupid things like that. That's just what it does, and it's like really see they. It's like this is the thing they think we're going to get. We're going to get Trump. That's their thought. Only thing is, he's going to get word of this, and then you're going to get him in the news anyway. It's stupid. This is all very, very, very stupid. And it's, I mean, we got to stop this type of stuff. We got to stop fighting. It's just pure and simple.
Okay, Candy, station break. We come back. We're going to talk about the legacy of Alexander Ovechkin when we come back from our station break.
South Florida Tribune Publishing Company published a book, Lessons from the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders. It is written by our host, Scott, the Motor City Madmouth Morganroth. And the foreword is written by another panelist, Mr. George Eichhorn. Talks about their 40 plus years in the media business and how it has evolved, old school media versus new school media. If you know any young person or anybody that's trying to get into the business, it's a great gift idea for the holidays that are coming up. It's available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, Google, and Apple Books. There's also a link on our website, www.southfloridatribune.com, where there is a plethora of great content, so go check it out. If you like to listen to podcasts, you can find us wherever you get your podcasts. If you want to advertise, sponsor a show, or be on a show, you can always email us at southfloridatribune@gmail.com. Last but not least, if you see that red subscribe button in that lower right-hand corner, that means you have not yet subscribed to us. What are you waiting for? Just do it. Click it, like us, share us with all your friends and family, and then turn on your notifications so you're notified any and every time we go live. Monday nights, it's baseball night. Tuesday nights is football. Wednesday and Thursday, you never know what you're going to get, so tune in to find out. Back to you, Scott.
Thank you, Candy. Well done. All right, well, let's talk about the legacy of Alexander Ovechkin. The guy netted hit a 900 goal milestone, but the person who spoke big of him was Henrik Lundqvist. I don't think anybody's going to reach 900 goals. Joining, obviously, Alexander Ovechkin. Nobody's getting in that club. He's all by himself. Is the greatest goal scorer in NHL history. So what I did is I began to track down some of his milestones, okay? And that's this. On October 5th, 2005, he got his first goal. Okay, I'm going in based on milestones. October 5th, 2005, he gets his first one. Number 100 occurred on October 12th, 2007. There we go. See a little bit of a trend here. Number 200, February 5th, 2009. I love that date. My grandma Sophie was born on that date. February 5th, 2009, though she wasn't around to see that one. February 5th, 2009, he gets number 200. All right, we're getting up there a little bit, right? Well, it gets only better. Number 300, April 5th, 2011. All right, let's keep it rolling. Number 400, December 20th, 2013. Oh, I'll add to you. Guess what? I know you passed away, but Alex Ovechkin got his 400th goal there as well. Going on, number 500 occurred on, guess what? January 10th, 2016. No family members connected to that one, but January 10th, number 500, a milestone goal. Now you're starting to talk Hall of Fame a little bit. Number 600, March 12th, 2018. Number 700, February 22nd, 2020. Number 800, December 13th, 2022. And number 900, November 5th, 2025. Mike, I gave you a lot of things with the great Alex Ovechkin. What are your thoughts about what this guy has done?
I think Alex Ovechkin, I mean, obviously one of the greatest goal scorers of all time. I am not ready to call him the greatest, um, but his game changed. When he entered the league the year after Sidney Crosby, he played the game much more competitively. He was more physical. And I think when you look at those milestones that you just mentioned, at a certain point, scoring goals became the most important thing to him, and his game changed, and he became less conscious about being a good defensive player. He became less conscious about being a physical player.
Right.
And it really, or even being a guy that passes the puck and sets up other players on his team. And he really focused on one thing, which was scoring goals. When it comes to scoring goals, I think he scored a lot of goals very similar to what Brett Hull did. You know, he was the top of the circle, whether it was the quick release or the one-timer on the power play when they'd swing the puck around the umbrella. But I just think that he lost everything else that would have made him a great all-around player. He forfeited that to just become a goal scorer.
Okay.
That's my first reaction to Alex Ovechkin. And if it wasn't for Barry Trotz going to Washington, and some players demanding that he play a certain way for a couple of years, he probably never gets a Stanley Cup.
Right.
Very similar to Mike Modano for different reasons, who all those years in Minnesota to start, but primarily in Dallas, it took a Ken Hitchcock and it took some other players around him, you know, the Brian Skrudlands, the Guy Carbonos, those type of guys to show Mike Modano what it took to win a Stanley Cup, which meant you have to play hurt the playoffs. You have to do these things that maybe you don't want to do. And I think that happened with Ovechkin for those couple of years that Trotz was in Washington and he got himself a cup. But on his own, I mean, and since Trotz has left, he's just gone right back to chasing goal records. and he's become, don't get me wrong, he'll be a Hall of Famer. And he'll go down as one of the all-time greats. But to me, he'll go down as one of the all-time great goal scorers as opposed to one of the all-time great players.
Great point. Thanks, Mike. That's why I let off with you. And again, that's why I wait on this topic until you get in there, because I know if anybody knows the game like the back of your hand, it's you. All right, George.
It's oh my God, Mike, you said it all, man.
Yeah.
I can't agree with you more. I mean, the last time I saw him, you know, he was against Detroit, and yeah, he put himself on the ice in the same spot, the slot, you know, and you know, ready to fire away. And listen, if indeed he was an all-around or all-team player, you nailed it. He would have more than one Stanley Cup. And you even went further, Mike, as you explained about the role of Trotz as his coach. I really think that I'm not going to badmouth the guy. The records are there. Scott, you nailed all those records, all those historic days in his career. But the fact remains that you, for whatever reason, you're only able to be on one Stanley Cup winner so far, unless they can do it again. But he's still a great player, but he's not a complete player. I agree with you, Mike.
Well, I'll say this real quick before I turn over the other Cody and Jacob. Individual versus team is what I look at it. Individual. You want to get the individual accolades. I get it. Luckily, he got a Stanley Cup in his pocket. Team, obviously, legacies are born that way. But like Mike said, he's going to get in the Hall of Fame. It doesn't make any difference. And with no question, one of the greatest Russian players of all time. Okay, go ahead, Cody.
Well, as Mike said, and I agree with him, he's definitely the greatest goal scorer of all time, but not the greatest player of all time. Like, I 100% agree with that, especially doing something that he's been doing since 2005, pretty much since he's been in the league. He actually scored his first goal on my birthday, which is kind of funny. I won't tell you guys how old I was just for everyone's sake.
3 years old? 3 years old?
No, I was definitely older than that. I want to say I was in middle school at least. That's and I'll leave it there. But I remember just watching him pretty much most of my life, because I really got into hockey. I want to say 2000 or earlier than that. So I know he was a big part of it, especially when he came in with a tinted visor and everything like that. And just that behind the back crazy goal he scored in Phoenix right in front of Gretzky. and everything. I just remember seeing all those highlights on Sports Center, like the top 10 plays. I mean, yeah, he's for sure going to be in the Hall of Fame, especially the only player ever to have 900 career goals, and he's still going. And I agree with what, like, also what Mike said. Like, he probably would have had maybe one or two more Stanley Cups, especially those years that they faced the Penguins in those playoffs. And if he changed his game a little bit and got everyone else involved because he was the leader, he could have really changed that squad, and they probably could have easily won at least one more, at least minimum. Right. So, but I'm glad he at least did get one Stanley Cup, because I think that's what really started the Stanley Cup hardcore celebrations, just seeing him with that cup and everything like that. So it's great just seeing him that he's still scoring on a 40 goal pace as a 40-year-old or 39 or whatever, however old he is. But it's just crazy to see that he's still doing this.
There was fierce competition between Crosby and Ovechkin.
Yeah.
In his first 4 or 5 games. I mean, that was must-see TV. They had a couple of Winter Classic games for that reason. Because those two, like, forget about the teams. Those two battled. And they battled physically. They battled at every point of the ice. Crosby continued to play that way and lead his team the rest of the way. And Ovechkin decided, I want to score goals. And that's what he became.
Yeah, but I mean, just doing what he did, especially in like what we called like the dead puck area, where wasn't as much scoring, and we had he's been through 2 lockouts and a shutdown, and he still broke the record in the same amount of time as Gretzky did. That's pretty crazy in my opinion.
Yeah. Would you put Stamkos in the same category as him a little bit? Or would you put Stamkos more in the Crosby's category? I mean, Stamkos scored his goals the same way, but I think Stamkos maintained a little bit more competitiveness, at least until the last couple of years, and a little bit more leadership of his team.
I would say he's like Stamkos is like a little bit of both. I would say he has that Crosby in him, but he also has that Ovechkin in him. So I that's a very good take right there, Mike. I was like, is Stammer with more Ovechkin or more Crosby? But I would say he's a little bit more of both.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
hate
agree.
to say that's the cop out answer, but
yeah, that's a great question. Talk about Steven Stamkos. Jacob, have you commented on this yet?
Yeah, absolutely. I was just waiting.
So I've got everybody in on this topic. Just want to make sure.
Like I had, he's got 911 now. He is 8 and multiple goal games. He's 8 away from Gretzky, but I am not going to call him the greatest goal scorer of all time. Not the number by itself. The reason is because there's no 50 and 38. There's no 92 in a season. There's none of that. And plus the fact there's definitely not the assists. There's none of those. So I'm not going to call that thing. But the big thing is the game changed. The game changed by itself. I mean, and he became a goal scorer later, as brought up by Mike and Cody. He became a goal scorer almost later instead of the playmaker, but at a time that the game was a lot less open, like Gretzky had. So he became that. He was never going to get to the 92 in a year. It was never going to be that way. So he's basically a one of one as far as goal scoring. So he brought all that up. So congratulations to him. He's definitely a Hall of Famer. He's one of the all-time greats. But you're a best of your era, considering on that. No one's going to catch Gretzky in those numbers. Gretzky's numbers. My dad didn't watch one game of hockey, and he knew Gretzky's numbers.
Well, let me just say this. Okay, you finish your thought, and I want to say something now that you give me an idea.
He didn't do that. So that's the world. You're talking about an era, and we're in a different time. It's like that's just what it is now. It's just Gretzky was just a prodigy from like 10 years old, and it's just the world that we're in. It's just a different day. So yeah, he is a Hall of Famer, and he's one of the all-time. He's a top 2 goal scorer, mind you. but it's just a different type of goal scoring. Just different.
Well, the only thing I'm going to add to close the topic out is this. We started off with the Red Wings and the Canadiens' original 6 first TV game ever. I tell you one thing. Ovechkin's not getting over 600 goals with the way hockey used to be played with the original 6. I cap him at about 600 at the most. That's just my personal opinion. Hockey was when you have a Gordie Howe hat trick consisting of a fight, a goal, and an assist, I can only imagine exactly what Ovechkin would. And we all know full well those European players, Russian players, will not be able to handle the physicality. All you need to do is go back to the conflict of the ice and see what happened with the Russians, and they walked off the ice. So that's just
well,
my
one
take
thing
on
to
it.
bring up fast. Ovechkin is a longer played and more talented and more to take this seriously. Brett Hall.
All right, but that's fine. I get where you're
That's just
coming
what
from.
it is.
This guy's not surviving in the original 6 era. I don't care what
True,
anybody
true.
said.
I'll agree with
Yeah,
that.
I mean, come on.
You know
How do you
what?
like?
I agree with you, Jacob. I also think he's going to weigh more than Brett Hull in about 5 years, too.
Yeah,
I agree.
I can only imagine Dave Schultz.
That's a
taking
lot.
it.
That's a lot of weight.
I'll
With
say
his
this.
diet, yeah, I can see that. Oh,
I'll
that's
say
funny.
this. I can only see Dave Schultz pounding this guy mercifully if he gets in the way. Oh, never mind. I don't want to drag this on. We have a few more topics, but everybody kept making valid points and my wheels kept turning. That's why there's no way he's getting over 600 in the original 6. But the best thing is we'll never know anyways. He's got 911 and counting. All right, well, we'll talk about an iconic player to another one who just keeps playing and playing like the Energizer, buddy. And that's Jaromir Jagr, who begins his 35th pro season. And when you think about 35 pro seasons, it's just unbelievable. We're going to go rapid fire on these next topics because these are more or less update. So quickly, George, Jaromir Jagr, 35th season. What are your thoughts?
Unbelievable. I mean, he really has shown that he's still got it. And I'll never forget my nephew, though. He just is at his big butt. He gets his big butt in the way of everybody. Well, he can get away with some of that stuff, but I tell you what, he's a gifted athlete. He really is. I've always admired him. Thank you.
Okay, Mike, rapid fire. Some thoughts about Mr. Jaromir Jagr, the Energizer Bunny.
I mean, I loved him in his prime. I think, what he's doing now is he's having fun. It's great. He's not playing every game. He's certainly not playing at the highest level of competition, nor would I expect him to at his age. But I don't put him in the same category when it comes to longevity. I don't put him in the same category, certainly not of a Gordie Howe, and not even of a Chris Chelios, for instance, who played, well into his 40s. But good. I certainly admired him, especially in his years in the National Hockey League. But at this time, as long as he's having fun, good for him.
Jacob, rapid fire.
Oh yeah, I know. Put them on the Blues. They're terrible anyway. they're awful anyway. But no, I mean, here's the big thing about him is he's not going to be what you remember, but it's going to remind me of Larry Bird when his back was gone. He's going to be a guy who's 4 inches, but he still dominates a series. He dominates a series. He dominates this. It's just because he's just so much smarter. He just can't do what he used to physically, but they're just so much smarter at the age. That's the crazy part.
Cody.
I won't confirm or deny that he's been playing longer than I've been alive, professionally.
Confirm.
But I mean, I just remember watching him growing up and everything like that, and just it sucks the reason why he's still playing. I get why he's doing it and everything like that, but it just makes me wonder: are they going to waive the Hall of Fame waiting period for him, or are they just going to let him in, or he's going to have to wait just like everybody else?
Well, he'll be 82 by the time he gets in. If they do that.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, someone like his stature, I mean, he's going to be a Hall of Famer whenever he officially retires. It's just, is he going to get the same waiting period as Gretzky, or is he going to be waiting like everybody else?
Well, TBD to be determined. All right, Connor McDavid signs a contract to stay with the Oilers, $12 million per season. So, George, did they get him cheap? No, that he still wanted to play out in Edmonton? Because I know he could have gotten more than $12 million.
Yeah, he could have got more, I think, had he wanted to entertain offers from other teams and or trade scenarios. But I mean, he's so gifted. I mean, he's a great player, and Edmonton's very fortunate to have him. And again, the thing missing from his resume is obviously a Stanley Cup championship. But I think they got him for less than he was really worth.
Okay, Mike, did you get a hometown? Did Edmonton get a hometown discount with this contract?
I think Edmonton got a hometown discount, but they also got an ultimatum that said, I'm going to take a little less so that you can put what I need around me to win a cup in the next couple of years. And if you don't do it and we don't win it, I'm out of here. And I'll get my big money in Toronto or New York or somewhere else.
There you go. Jacob?
If Colorado keeps playing the way they do, it'll be Colorado.
Yeah.
But no, the truth is, yeah. I mean, I've seen him through his career with the U.S. versus Canada game. This guy is just ridiculous. This guy is not a 12 million guy. But truthfully, though, if Edmonton screws this up, it'll be this Ayers Gretzky. You've lost something, and they're going to go. Hey, it'd be funny if he went to the Kings.
No, my dad would love that, but not me.
Well, good segue over. It's a good segue, Jacob, over to Cody. Go ahead. You got the final word on this?
I mean, I'm pretty sure when we all saw that he signed that deal. Everyone that kind of basically knows the game knows, yeah, that's an ultimatum. If you like exactly what Mike said, if the Oilers don't show him like, hey, we're in it for the long run with you, then he's probably going to be on his way out after that contract. Like as soon as I saw that deal, I'm like, oh yeah, like if the Oilers don't show him that they're still Stanley Cup winners or he doesn't win one, he's easily gone. It's just a matter of fact where he's going to go after that and how much he'll get at by that time, because who knows where the salary cap will be by that time.
Okay. Final topic on the rapid fire segment. Analyst John Tortorella is back with ESPN. All right, George, you glad to see him on the air?
Yes, I am. I've admired his work. He's a good analyst, and he really knows the game inside and out. 4 stars. I give him 4 stars. I like him.
Mike?
Yeah, I do too. I agree with George, and hopefully this is enough to have him stop chasing the coaching carousel. I mean, the last job in Philadelphia, that wasn't the right job for a coach like him. You know, they had a young team. They were trying to develop some guys. I mean, he's a little bit too fiery and a little bit, too impatient for a group like that. He's won a Stanley Cup. He's been successful. He's coached internationally, in big tournaments representing the USA. And I think being an analyst on TV, especially an in-studio analyst, is perfect for him.
Yeah, I think so. One of the biggest things I've always admired about Coach Schwartz, love to meet him one day. I've dealt with some interesting coaches. We can all talk about that. Is the fact that he sat his players down. If you don't go ahead and stand for the national anthem, respect the American national anthem, you're not going to play. This guy's a true American every sense of the world. I'm glad ESPN snapped him up, even though it didn't work out in Philadelphia. Jacob.
Tortorella is this era's Keenan. Probably with more. I'm talking about the coaching wise, probably with more charm. So he doesn't have the charm. He doesn't have the charm of walking on a Lego at 2 a.m. like Keenan does. But I compare him to Keenan because he stayed too long. It's like he had such great records. He was getting to conference finals, doing what he was able to do, and then he just kept going down, and then Philly happened, and then there was all that stuff. That's what happened with Keenan, and just kept going down and going down. Only you can definitely put him as an analyst on. You can put him as an analyst on ESPN. Because a lot more charming, he does know the game very well, so it's a good choice.
Okay. All right, you have a final word on this, Cody, and then after we get done, we'll talk about Donald Brashear, Jack Eichel, and we have one more non-sports topic, and then Pundit Fire Up will be after this. These will probably be relatively quick topics as well. All right, what's your final word there on John Tortorella, Cody?
No, I agree with what Mike said. I don't think that the Philadelphia job was the right fit for him. Like I was even shocked that he signed there in the first place with that young team. He's not a rebuilding kind of coach. That's someone you want to help get you to the playoffs right away. And especially with a more veteran team. Of course, I would have loved to see him coach Trevor Zegers. I think that would have been hilarious. But no, I think him being on the ESPN panel is great for him. Like, he knows the game well. I mean, obviously, like, he's won a Stanley Cup. He's been with the international team as a coach and assistant coach, and I thought he did a great job when he was there before. So I wouldn't see why he wouldn't be fantastic there again. He knows the game very well. I
have to tell one Tortorella story before we move on.
Oh, I love these.
I grew up, and he and his brother Jim, who I'm very good friends with, we played in the same youth hockey organization growing up. John was older, but when John was coaching the New York Rangers, when he was a coach of the New York Rangers, he had the players come into the Garden one day on a practice day, and they thought they were going to be skating at Chelsea Piers, so they put their gear on at Madison Square Garden, and then they went on the bus, which they thought they were going for a short ride to Chelsea Piers where they were going to practice. But instead, John Tortorella instructed the bus driver to drive around Manhattan for 3 hours. And the players, John didn't say a word, and the players didn't know what was going on. And eventually they came back to Madison Square Garden after 3 hours on the bus in Manhattan, and John got up on the front of the bus and he said, "You wasted 3 hours of my time during the game last night, so I just wasted 3 hours of your time. Have a good day."
That's great, Mike. Thanks for putting that in. That is pretty cool. I've yet to go to Madison Square Garden. It's something I need to do before it's all said and done. And that is on my bucket list. All right. Donald Brashear returns to hockey at age 53, signs in Newfoundland. How about these? These guys are finding the fountain of youth overseas. Donald Brashear, George, age 53.
Oh, my gosh. The fountain of youth has reached the hockey world in big time. Yeah, all the more power to him. But I don't know. He's going to skate around with these young guys out there. I mean, come on. But, that's a head turner for me. I don't know. What do you think?
I'll turn over to Mike, and then we'll go around the order.
Yep.
And then we have a couple more topics to go. We're going to try to get punted in. Go ahead, Mike. Sorry.
I'd rather sign Jaromir Jagr.
Yeah.
Huh?
I'd rather sign Jaromir Jagr.
Okay.
And Donald Brashear.
Is that all you have to say about Brashear?
That's all I have to say.
Okay, good enough. All right, Jacob.
These old guys, they come onto and I play, like I said, I played about 3 years. The one thing about this, and I've learned, maybe it's because I had an older family, so I have more of a older dad, so I had more appreciation for the older. But the older they get, the smarter their game. No, they're not going to. It was the same with Gordy. No, they're not going to go skate around with the young guys. They're not stupid. In fact, they're geniuses. They're geniuses. They're scary to me because they basically can flick it. They can just basically they catch the guy wide open. They see the whole ice. They see they're not even moving. And those are the scariest guys. You're not. That's the big thing. They're not having to go around the ice, try to skate near these guys, because they're just gonna catch them off guard all the time. They're in a position. It's kind of like the oldest actors. They're just always there.
And the only position Donald Brashear had was in the penalty box or sitting right next to the assistant coach.
I completely understand, but I know what you're saying. This big time. I'm just talking about as an older. Yeah. I'm talking about this with everybody. When someone gets older, they just get. I mean, their mind gets scarier. I'm just saying as a Jagr. I'm saying it with everybody. And I know what you're saying about his younger years, because you're correct, by the way, on that, Mike. You're correct on that. I'm just saying when they just get older and stuff, it's just a different time. Your brain just gets different. You know that.
Yeah, I don't know.
I started running marathons last year.
Yeah, but you're not running sprints. Biggest difference.
No, I'm saying my brain changed.
Yeah. Yeah, what you did with the marathons is unbelievable stuff. Okay. All right, Cody, one more hockey topic, and then the end of an era. We're going to try to get punted in, Jacob, if we can.
You're good.
We'll do our best. All right, go ahead, Cody.
I'll keep it short and sweet for a time. I agree with Mike.
Okay. Yeah, well, penalty box, that's the assistant coach. All right. All right, on to Jack Eichel, signed an 8-year, $13.5 million deal with the Vegas Golden Knights. George, you like the move?
Yes, I do. I mean, Jake's a good player, and Las Vegas has obviously got a very good team, as they have for several years. And I really think that he's found a good spot there. I really do. I think it's a good move.
Well, since you didn't like Donald Brashear, I'm sure you got to like Jake Eichel a whole lot better, huh, Mike?
Look, he's a terrific player. He he's not necessarily the leader you want in the locker room, but he doesn't have to be that in Vegas. He just has to do what he does on the ice, and he just didn't want to be in Buffalo. And he did what he could to, like most players these days that don't want to be in Buffalo. And he did what he could, and he used the leverage he had to get out of there and get to a place where he did want to be. And now he's a guy that could be, maybe not from a leadership standpoint, but could be a Joe Thornton type guy in Vegas and be there for a lot of years and be sort of that big point getter, up front for them. Big body, so yeah, he'll do fine, and yeah, that was a good deal for Vegas to sign him.
Yeah, Buffalo Sabres certainly not a destination place by all means, and yeah, you're right. York has traded his well out real well. Vegas, plus there's no state income tax in Nevada either, so that doesn't hurt that his money is going to be without at least that. Jacob,
imagine, if you will, with someone, he's in Buffalo. And nice career. Remember, okay, we're just going to say 25, 30, sometimes 35 goals. Great career. You can do assists, can make plays, all that stuff. And then you don't really do there's not a whole heck of a lot when it comes to playoffs. Then you go to the expansion team for your playoffs. That's how you can tell life has changed. And it's like, but the thing is, good for him because he waited it out a little bit. You have to go through some crummy teams sometimes. You have to go through some crummy times sometimes. And then 8 year, he's 29 years old now. He'll be 37, 38 and then he'll probably be done. As long as he stays in the same spot, that'd be a great thing. It'd be a good contract. So I'm happy for him.
Cody, you obviously have to face him more on the West Coast.
Yeah, sadly, and I'll have to see him for another 8 years. But I mean, he's someone that I'm another Buffalo Sabre that left and then won the Stanley Cup to where he got traded. Like Reinhart, O'Reilly, and numerous others. Yeah, I know it sucks that he wanted to get the one surgery, but Buffalo's like, no. So then that's why he got traded to Vegas, because Vegas like, yep, go get it done. And then he got it done, and look, he's going to be one of the top highest paid players next year and for the next couple of years until everyone else starts signing huge deals. But I mean, I think it's a great deal for Vegas. I thought it was going to be a little bit more, just from what he's probably. I know he's probably going to hit 100 points within the next year or two. I think he'll be the first Vegas Knight to do that and everything. And I said, like what Mike said, like he's not a captain you is probably in the locker room, but he's definitely a leader on that ice. And then you could tell when he's on the ice, you could just tell like the game changes in Vegas's favor. And I've noticed that as a Ducks fan, just when he's on the ice, I'm like, oh crap, something's going to happen here.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll tell you what, Jacob, I'll give you about a minute to pundits fund it, then we'll go to our final non-sports topic of the night.
Real quickly,
give me a real quick one. You can do it.
Yeah, to get real quick on this. We talked about John Tortorella tonight, and we talked about the coaches. John Tortorella is an example of what I'm talking about. They get so many years, and the one thing about coaches that I don't like, whether it's older or now or any of this, they want to show their big brain. They want to show their big brain how much they know of their X's and O's, and they want to do stuff. They want to control everything. I want to tell this right now. See Scott's mustache and beard. See everything. Look at the gray hairs. We better know life. Our jobs, if we want to be coaches, and I've been a coach as a volunteer coach for basketball, and I want to do different things. If you want to be a real coach, teach those kids out there, or those young men, or those professionals, how to look at the ice, look at the field, look at anything. Teach them how to read it. Quit showing your big brain, because I hope you would. You had long enough. So that's all I have to say tonight when it comes to the coaches. It's time for you to teach them and teach the kids and teach everybody around there to be smarter, because we already know you are.
Okay, time to bring Candy up again. Last non-sports topic of the night will probably apply to a lot of us. That's why I incorporated it in the show. Candy Ebling is going to be getting ready for, obviously, fire up in a little bit, and we'll go out there and go from there. And that's this. So Candy will be on just a moment, taking care of some other business for us, and we will be able to go from there. All right, Candy, we need you in the house. All right, get this, okay? The end of an era. What do I mean by that? Rite Aid officially shuts down all stores, mainly due to heavy debt, mounting opioid lawsuits, competition from CVS, Walgreens, and Amazon. Why would I bring that up? Well, I actually get a lot of mine done at CVS. Candy, what are your thoughts about the fact that Rite Aid is no longer in the picture?
I think it's, pharmacies have to be real particular. I went to a pharmacy tonight and they hadn't remembered that there was a recall on one of the products that was that I was picking up. It has to have to do with diabetes and the readers that you can have, so you can be constantly monitoring. And they didn't even know that there was a recall on some of them. So I think with all the legislation and stuff like that, and that it's gotten to be a heavy business and it's heavily regulated, and not everybody's going to make it in the business.
George?
Well, I'm sad because that was my pharmacy of choice, just a half mile from my house. We loved Rite Aid. We liked the people there. You got to know them. It was a friendly kind of atmosphere. But it's a sign of the times, unfortunately. The biggest ones are going to survive. Obviously, even CVS and Walgreens, they're not super profit makers either right now. But yeah, I it's sad to see it go, but this happens a lot in America.
Hey, Jacob?
It's all going Amazon. CVS and Walgreens are in terrible shape. So it's like one of those are going to go. I think Walgreens is next. That's going to be the thing to be able to go down. Amazon's going to take it all. That's just the way the thing goes. It's the way of the world of our shopping and everything. Just to say this part real fast, if Black Friday went $11 billion, most of it was AI and online. That everything like that. That's just the way of the shopping is going to go. So those stores are going down.
Cody?
I'm just sad that Thrifty ice cream is gone. That was usually our go-to for ice cream, usually, because it was always good, delicious, and somewhat fresh. I know my wife always liked to get the makeup products from there, and I think we used it for pharmacy a few times, but I'm just more sad about the ice cream part.
Okay. All right. Mike, you have the last word on this, and then Candy's going to give everybody a preview for Fire Up, and then we'll get everybody out there. Go ahead, Mike, some thoughts about the pharmacy.
I agree with Jacob. I remember when I was young, we had a local pharmacy, or we used to call it a local drugstore, right? And you used to be able to get a milkshake and a hamburger there too. And then that was, when I was a kid, that's when the CVS's and the Rite Aids and the Walgreens and all those businesses came along and took the business away. And now, like Jacob says, things are changing again, and you've got this thing called Amazon, and you've got ways for people to get drugs easier and maybe even cheaper, or at least initially cheaper. So they're just going to they're going to put them all out of business. I know around me there's a lot of CVS stores that are closing as well.
Yeah, there you go. I guess I'll say another drugstore bites the dust. George and I can remember the old days of Cunningham Drugs back in Metro Detroit. So I used to use them a lot. Didn't have the prescriptions to get wealthy off us. But yeah, Mike, everybody's right. It's all about Amazon. All right, with that said, Katie, give everybody a preview of what you have Fire Up, and then we'll go out there, and then you can do a station break with it. Everybody will be able to do their final wherever they can get a hold of them. Go ahead, Candy.
Coming up on Fire Up, we're going to talk a lot of football. It's championship weekend. There's going to be a lot of debate about CFP, who's going to make it in the playoffs. And then, of course, we're going to talk a little bit about the NFL and talk about playoffs with the NFL as well and some of the coaching changes in the college realm. So, with that, let me go into the station break. Here we go. Scott, you wrote a book, Lessons from the Microphone, tuning into the enduring wisdom of visionary leaders. You wrote it. It talks about your 40 plus years in the media business and how it has evolved and changed. Old school media versus new school media. Mr. George Icorn wrote the foreword. It has a picture of a young Scott with a young Muhammad Ali or Tommy Lasorda. You want to know what other pictures are in that book? Go get your copy today. It's available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, Google, and Apple Books. There's also a link on our website, www.southfloridatribune.com, where there is a plethora of great content, so go check it out. George writes for us. Jacob, once in a blue moon, writes for us. Scott writes for us. So go check out the website. And then if you like to listen to podcasts, you can find us wherever you get your podcast. If you want to advertise or sponsor a show or be a guest on a show, you can email us at southfloridatribune@gmail.com. Last but not least, if you see the red subscribe button in that lower right-hand corner, that means you have not yet subscribed to us. Please do so. That we have a lot of content on the YouTube channel and you don't want to miss it. If you want to get notified that we're going to go live, click it, like us, share us, and turn on the notifications. Back to you, Scott.
All right. Well,
wait, Scott, you have a book? I didn't know.
Oh, yeah, hardly. Yeah. I know you know. That's why you got one in your hand. That's all right. I love you, Jacob. He's in the book already. Mike Santos, when I work in this one, he's definitely going to do that. So, yeah, he got one too. So, Mike, with that said, time of the show where you get to go ahead, let everybody know once again, for those that's joining us about hockey operations, which they have planned out. And then we'll go around one more time for the rest of the group. Andy will be on very shortly. I'm sure her crew's chomping at the bit to go ahead and do what they got to do. Run a little bit late tonight. But I do apologize. It gets easier next week. So, all right, Mike, go ahead.
You can reach me at msantos@hockeyoperations.org. That's the best way, and I will always answer you.
And, of course, Hockey Operations, the designated sponsor for our show. Sports Wrap is presented by Hockey Operations LLC, and Mike Santos is the man. Okay, go ahead, Cody.
Yeah, you can find my dad and I at Rolly Quacked on all social media, on all podcast platforms, and hit the subscribe button on YouTube. We go live every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. Pacific time. And we talk all things Ducks and Kings, and you get to hear me and my dad, make fun of each other pretty much most of the time.
Sure, that's a pretty entertaining show. All right, Jacob was on with me Wednesday nights as well as Thursday.
I'm the head with Sideline One Sports on TikTok. I'm Jacob Christner on Facebook. Jacob Christner _ on Instagram when I'm on it. And then do some writings here and there. I was helping somebody with her script tonight, so I do some acting and some writing here and there. So I just back and forth whatever I need.
Okay, George.
Yeah, you can find me in the pages of the South Florida Tribune, the online version, of course. I write the Detroit Monitor locally. I wrote a book called Detroit Sports Broadcasters on the Air, chronicling over 90 years of radio and television in Detroit. And Mike, you'll notice on that book, you talk about announcers, man. Bud Lynch wearing his plaid jacket with Gordie Howe and the former Red Wing mascot. And Scott's in the book, and I thank everybody for contributing to that book. There's a link at the end of my column. You can also reach me at Twitter at SanGSports99, Yahoo, and of course LinkedIn as well under my name.
Well, great stuff. Sports Wrap will continue next Thursday night. We'll have more topics. We wanted to get Mike Santos up to speed with some of the key topics we held over for him to come back. And as usual, he was his Hall of Fame self. And Mike, glad to have you back on for hockey season. Now it gets interesting, and these shows are going to get more and more interesting as we go along. So meanwhile, Mike, glad you're back, better than ever, and keep on running those marathons. You're great, Mike. What can I say? It's just unbelievable. We're just so glad to have you back. So Fire Up is next. I want to thank everybody for joining us on this edition of Sports Wrap. Next Thursday night, 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Enjoy Fire Up next. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. We appreciate you so much. Bye now.